एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम
एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम्
इमं राजर्षयो विदु
इमं तिसृ
सकाले नेह महता
सकाले नेहमता
योगो नष्टा परंतपा.
योग नष्ट परंतप.
Okay, great. Anyone can read? Anyone want to volunteer?
I will read.
Please.
Uh, the supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and saintly kings understood in that way. But in course of time, that succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost.
Okay. So Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 shlok 1 was talking about, which we did last time, was talking about how Krishna spoke this knowledge to sun god. So Krishna spoke this to Surya Dev and he spoke to Manu, and Manu spoke to Ikshvaku. And the name of Surya Dev is Vivaswan. So this is what we read last time. And this shloka, Krishna is saying, in this way, this particular knowledge was going in disciplic succession, Guru Shishya Parampara. But in course of time, succession was broken. So this happens sometimes, when Krishna spoke to sun god, then they gave to his uh, successor, and so on and so forth. But then the knowledge appears to have been broken. So this knowledge was going on in amongst the Raj Rishi. Raj Rishi means saintly kings. The kings were transferring, but that has broken. So Krishna is now giving this knowledge. Now, this doesn't mean that nobody in the world was aware about this knowledge. No, we had discussed previously that there are different sampradayas which are going on, and bona fide sampradaya, Brahma sampradaya, Rudra sampradaya, um, Kumar sampradaya, and Shri Sampradaya. These four Sampradayas, the knowledge is going on in that Sampradaya. But it wasn't accessible to the people in general, and therefore Krishna makes Arjuna an instrument through which he is speaking this knowledge. So we'll read the purport and then we'll discuss further. Any volunteers who would like to read the purport?
I can read.
Please.
It is clearly stated that the Gita was especially meant for the saintly kings because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. Certainly, Bhagavad Gita was never meant for the demonic persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to re-establish the disciplic succession. 5,000 years ago, it was detected by the Lord Himself that the disciplic succession was broken, and therefore He declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at the present moment, also there are so many editions of the Gita, especially in English, but almost all of them are not according to authorized disciplic succession. There are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars, but almost all of them do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, although they make a good business on the words of Sri Krishna. This spirit is demonic because demons do not believe in God but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. Since there is a great need of an edition of the Gita in English, as it is received by the Parampara disciplic succession system, an attempt is made herewith to fulfill this great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to humanity. But if it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculations, it is simply a waste of time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for reading. So in this shloka, Krishna is telling how in Guru Shishya Parampara this knowledge was going on. In purport, Prabhupada is saying that this is very, very useful for saintly kings. So why did Krishna spoke to Vivaswan? Vivaswan is the name of the Surya Dev. So why did he speak to him? Because he and the rulers, the kings, we were discussing the other day, right? That there are two dynasties of kings. One is the Chandra Vamsha and one is the Surya Vamsha. So Surya Vamsha dynasty is where Lord Ramchandra appeared. And Chandra Vamsha dynasty is where Lord Krishna appeared. So these Raj Rishis or saintly kings who were given this knowledge, they were actually needing this training to be able to rule the rule the kingdom in the proper consciousness, in the proper mindset, and also uh, properly protect the citizens and also give the citizens appropriate knowledge and training so that they can protect themselves both psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. By using the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita and implement it to do their duties and activities, which is going to help them protect from any other consequences or karmic reactions. So here, specifically, these saintly kings are important receivers of the knowledge, and whenever the kings are trained, then disbursement to the kingdom becomes easier and application of the knowledge becomes doable or practicable. So Brahmins, they are educators, but kings have to accept. Even in the recent history, we hear that how King Ashoka, he used to be a very famous king, and then when he took to Buddhism, he got inspired by the teachings of Buddhism. And that was basically because of non-violence. He wanted to stop violence and take to that path. So then he implemented even in his kingdom, spread the knowledge of how non-violence is also very, very important and helpful. Because violence, especially unnecessary violence, was leading uh, to lot of loss of life, and he himself saw the consequences of it. So Bhagavad Gita is training the kings to use the violence judiciously. And in this particular situation, Arjuna is also getting trained by Krishna to use this knowledge for the welfare of the citizens. So, this is why the saintly kings were chosen to be the recipients of this particular knowledge. Prabhupada further is explaining that Bhagavad Gita is not meant for demons or demoniac people. So, how will you know who is a demoniac person? That's an important question. There are certain qualities which the demoniac people have, and Krishna will give those elaborately in the later section of the Bhagavad Gita. So we will not go into too many details of it, But demoniac does not mean by birth. Demoniac means by qualities. Just like saintly doesn't mean by birth, it means by qualities. So Krishna will give the whole list of qualities of how demoniac people conduct themselves and how divine or spiritual people conduct themselves. And one of the aspects of demoniac people is they will want to take God or Krishna out of the Bhagavad Gita. So when we read about these great demons like Hiranyakashipu and Ravan and so many others, they actually did not like Vishnu. They did not like anything or anyone worshipping or dedicated towards Vishnu. In fact, Hiranyakashipu will kill all those people who are worshipping Lord Vishnu. So similarly, that same similar mentality demoniac people use when they are reading any books, especially spiritual books or Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata or these books, they will take God out of the picture and take things many times actually out of context also. They may be able to get some practical help from the Bhagavad Gita, but they actually don't get the highest benefit which is being provided and offered here. So Prabhupada here is saying these commentators, they are not bona fide. They cannot really, because they have not been trained in disciplic succession. So they cannot get what are the hidden gems in the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada says here, as soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need of re-establishing the disciplic succession. So, because these people, they are writing all these different books and giving them names that this is from the Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata or others. So, this is actually misguiding people. So, now to actually guide people properly, Prabhupada had written this particular edition of Bhagavad Gita because many of the editions which were presented to Prabhupada by his students, because his students they were wanting to learn the Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada, when he went to America, he did not have the Bhagavad Gita published. He did not have any book which the students could read except what he had written from Bhagavatam. So he was able to give that those books which he had on the Bhagavatam, which is Bhagavad Puran, but Bhagavad Gita specifically, Prabhupada could not find any good bona fide copy. So Prabhupada decided that he has to write, and that's what he's mentioning here. That's what made Prabhupada write. Now Prabhupada had written on Bhagavad Gita when he was in India, but that was more in notes form. It wasn't a proper published copy, and even those had actually once they were stolen, once some of those were sold by his, some of the other family members. They sold those work to more like as a recycling, and basically Prabhupada had to do all the work again. So he was able to compile it in actually in a way which will be appropriately understood by the Western audience, because the Westerners, they were brought up in different culture, different environment, and Prabhupada studied in what environment they are and used the language and the examples which are most relevant for those people. And Prabhupada wrote it so many decades ago, but it's relevant for anyone even right now, because those examples which Prabhupada gave were very simple to understand here. So here Prabhupada is saying there are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars. Almost all of that do not accept Krishna as the supreme personality. So this is a big problem, that even though Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita so many shlokas that how he is the supreme, and this is like just like a father telling his son that I'm the owner of this house. So when Krishna says Bhoktaram Yajnatatham Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, that this particular world, this creation, is by me. Now this is a fact. Those who have enviousness from God, like Hiranyakashyap, such people do not accept. They say, no, why you are being proud, saying it is yours, it is mine. Hiranyakashyap is himself having the pride. But he thinks, no, 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 the world belongs to me, not to Vishnu. So, same demoniac mentality is in the mind of actually not just few people, but in all of us. And the divine mentality is also there in all of us. It is our choice whom we hear, whom we listen. Are we going to listen to our divine voice, which is actually inspiring us to take to spiritual life and take the message of Krishna and understand it, or the demoniac voice, which is actually making people, forcing people to believe that um, I am the one who is to be worshipped. I am the center of the world. And taking one away from the divine qualities. So, this is our choice. And those people who render themselves open, unbiased, and hear these knowledge of Bhagavad Gita unbiasedly and with receptivity, with devotion, and with sincere desire for understanding, for such people, Krishna makes arrangement and brings them. Paramatma within the heart guides them, and they are able to hear the voice. And those who may have selfish motives, selfish desires, may not necessarily be um, open minded, for them, there'll be challenges and barriers, and they may not be able to hear and follow the voice of Paramatma. So Prabhupada is saying that this particular knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is a great boon to humanity, and if it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculation, it is simply a waste of time. So most people, they accept Bhagavad Gita as a book of philosophy and a very, book of knowledge, but that is just scratching the surface of actually the huge vast body of knowledge this book is, and how much more helpful it can be in our life. Okay, so this is what I can share from this shloka. Anybody would like to bring up any points for discussion? Okay, we'll continue to read. We'll go to the next shloka, 4.3. स एवायं मया तेद्या स एवायं मया तेद्या योग प्रोक्ता पुरातना
पुरातना
भक्तसी में सखा चेते
भक्तसी मे सखा चेति
रहस्यं ह्येष एतदुत्तमम्.
रहस्यं हेतदुत्तमम्.
Okay, anybody would like to read the translation in purport? Any volunteers? Okay, I can read the
If no
translation.
one reads, I can read.
Okay, yeah, I'll read the translation. You can read the purport. Okay. That very ancient science of relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So in the previous shloka, Prabhupada was mentioning this is actually not something which is meant for demoniac people. It is meant for those who are devotees. And Krishna is telling this also, that I am telling this very science of relationship with the Supreme to you, because why is Krishna telling to Arjun? Here are the two very important points. Because Krishna saw that Arjun is a devotee and Arjun is a friend. So these two are very, very important points. Because he's a devotee, because he's a friend, so he's able to get this knowledge. So one has to be having such a relationship with the Lord. If one is a devotee of the Lord, then one is able to get this particular knowledge. And if one is friendly, or one is having desires which are favorable to the service of Lord, then that kind of a mentality is necessary. So a devotee and a friend are the two qualities. Then one can understand the depth of this science. Okay, purport you can read, Mashmi.
There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demonic, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for reading. So here Krishna is telling that what are the reasons why Arjuna is chosen to be the recipient of this knowledge? Because he is the devotee and he is a friend. Prabhupada in the purport is explaining there are two classes of men, devotee and demon. Now, how do they one becomes a devotee and how do one becomes demon? By hearing the calling in the heart. If one is hearing the right calling, which is coming from Paramatma, which is engaging one in the service of the Lord, which is making one to choose going towards Krishna, then one is becomes a devotee. If one is taking the calling, which is one questioning in spite of so many references and knowledge of the scriptures, one is not taking those knowledge, but one is not accepting and questioning the need of spiritual life, questioning the need of reading Bhagavad Gita, questioning that why not engage in activities which are only going to satisfy the senses and which are going to be driving me to to give me a more comfortable life and not actually worry about others, not actually focus on taking up somewhat difficult path voluntarily for spiritual advancement. Such mentality is that of demoniac people. So this kind of a calling from one's heart to procrastinate, be lazy, to not take to our duties, responsibilities, to engage in tamoguna or mode of ignorance. That is very common with the lifestyle of demons. So one has to make a choice. Till the time one is in the middle, one can choose to go in whatever way. But if one keeps choosing the path of devotional service, then slowly one becomes pure devotee. And if one continuously chooses a demoniac path, then one takes to the demoniac lifestyle. And after one takes that, it is very difficult to know when one will get the choice again. Because if we are in the path of demoniac lifestyle, then after leaving this body, we may not get a human form of life. And if one doesn't get a human form of life, one cannot have discrimination. It may take many, many births. So therefore, one has to take to the decision whether to take a divine life or a demoniac life in this very life, in this human form of life. Arjuna accepted Krishna as the Supreme Lord, and therefore Arjun was given this knowledge. And if anybody accepts Krishna as the Supreme and is wanting to get the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, then one can also follow the footsteps of Bhagavad Gita of Arjuna and get this knowledge. And one will be connected. If one is sincere, then Krishna will connect them with the real spiritual master who is getting this knowledge from bona fide spirit sampradaya. So all of you, you are actually very fortunate. You may have taken decisions. You may not even remember, but you may have taken decisions many, many times to seriously and sincerely seek out the right path. To see, you may have had desire for learning, and that's why today we have the access to this Bhagavad Gita, which is by Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was given all the comforts, all the money, all the resources. He could have done and so many things from those, but he used it in the service of Krishna. Krishna tested him by taking all the things away from him. He was still surrendered to Krishna, and then Krishna gave him back all the things in the world. He still remained surrendered to Krishna. So, Prabhupada showed by his example that whether you have nothing or whether you have all the resources, all the so many followers, he had tens and thousands of followers all over the world. Most of them were Westerners from so many countries. He had white, black, all categories, all races of people as his followers, Indian, Chinese, Russian. But that did not make him proud. It did not affect him. It did not make him choose demoniac lifestyle. No, we see so many famous people in all the religions, whether it's Muslims, Christians, or Hindus. When one become a spiritual uh, spiritually advanced personality, then lot of followers they get, and some people they misuse, they start exploiting their followers. But Prabhupada, he was not any of those. He was pure servant of Krishna who had just come here to serve the Lord. And how did he serve? By teaching all of us how to become servant of God. And he was enjoying the love of Krishna, and he was very happy and blissful, and he wanted to share the same happiness with all of us. And that's why he gave this Bhagavad Gita, this knowledge. He trained so many of his students, and those students are following the path of Prabhupada, and they are themselves practicing, teaching, and educating and training people all over the world, whether they are in very favorable environment, whether they are in unfavorable environment, whether they are in Western countries, or in India, or in China, Africa, Europe, Russia, whatever continents they may be in, they are just engaged in pleasing Krishna. So this is sign of a devotee. This is a sign of somebody who is loving God or trying to love God. And till the time one is getting an access or an opportunity to associate with such people, that means Krishna is doing a big, big favor on us. Otherwise, access to such people, to such knowledge, to such association is not very common. It is very rare. And only in the human form of life we can do that. So thank you to all of you for joining today and choosing to be with Krishna. Anybody would like to make any comments from this particular shloka or the last two shlokas?
My only comment will be, as you explained about Prabhupada, his simplicity and all his dedication to Lord Krishna, his enjoyment was is absolutely something that we see and we hear, we feel. So it's thank you for sharing that and emphasizing that who he was.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And this is the beauty of a great saint, you know. When Prabhupada came to America, and so many people were, he came out of at one place, he came out of the airport, and so many people, they were bowing down to him, so many of his students. And there was one outside people, security man. He said, "Oh, seems like you are a very big man. So many people are bowing down to you." And then Prabhupada said, "Actually, I am the servant of each one of them." So then the security guard was very uh, surprised. He said, "You're not just a great person, but you're also a very humble person. That's why you're really great." So this is how Prabhupada was seeing himself. He was seeing himself as the servant of each one of them. Thank you.
And Prabhuji, there are so many gurus I know, like we know, are not like that.
Yes, yes, that's so true. Yeah, some people take it as a profession, for making money and getting their material desires fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And many times such people will not even talk about control of senses, control of mind, any of these things. They will tell stories, they will tell things here and there. But Prabhupada went to America and told them about control of senses. So it's like um really something he was feeling, the happiness and bliss, which was beyond sense pleasure, which he wanted everyone to experience. So he was genuinely, and not just he, those he trained were able to experience it. And we see their live examples of so many of them still following it for 50, 55 years. Okay, so we'll take next shloka. Please repeat. Arjuna Vacha. Arjuna Vacha. Aparam bhavato janma. Aparam.
Aparam bhavatu janma,
Param janma vivasvataha. Param janma.
param janma vivasvataha,
Katham etad vijaniyam.
kathat netadijnaniyam,
Tvam adau proktavaniti.
tamadam praktavanita.
Any volunteers? I'll read the translation first. Arjuna said, "The sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed the signs to him?" Okay, so as we see the beauty of Bhagavad Gita, that Arjuna asks questions repeatedly. And this is the sign of intelligence as well as signs of uh, seeker, a one who is seeking and wanting to know. This is the attitude that one asks questions and clarifies. So Arjuna did that. And Arjuna is not just asking questions for himself, but he's also asking questions on our behalf. Because anybody else, Arjuna may already have inclination. Arjuna is Krishna's friend and he is a devotee. So he may not have those questions for himself. He may be able to believe just because Krishna said, but he wants doubts to be cleared for anybody else who may be coming in touch with Bhagavad Gita. So on our behalf, he's asking, you said this, that you gave this knowledge to sun god, but sun god is very, very old. He was born much earlier, and you are like just say, more or less my age. So how am I to understand that you instructed this to him so long ago? So this is how Arjuna is asking. So let's read the purport. Any volunteers who would like to read the purport?
I will read it.
Please, thank you.
Arjuna is an accepted devotee of the Lord. So how could he not believe Krishna's world. The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or for the demons who do not like the idea that Krishna should be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For then, only Arjun inquires on this point, as if he were himself not aware of the personality of Godhead or Krishna, as it will be evident from the 10th 10th chapter. Arjuna knew perfectly well that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the uh, found, uh, fountain fountainhead of everything, and the last word in transcendence. Transcendence. Of course, Krishna also appeared as the son of Devaki, so that he himself could speak authoritatively. That Krishna is supreme authority is accepted by the whole world, not only at present, but from time im, im, immemorial, and the demons alone reject him. Anyway, since Krishna is the authority accepted by all, Arjuna put his question before him in order that Krishna would describe himself without being depis, depis, depicted. I cannot pronounce. Depicted by the demons, who always try to distort him in a way understandable to the demons and their followers. It is necessary that everyone, for his own interest, know the science of Krishna. Therefore, when Krishna himself speak about himself, he is auspicious for all worlds. To the demons, such explanation by Krishna himself may appear to be strange because the demons always study Krishna from their own standpoint, but those who are devotee heartily welcome the statement of Krishna when they are spoken by Krishna himself. The devotees will always worship such authoritative statements of Krishna because they are always eager to know more and more about him. The atheist who consider Krishna an ordinary man in may in this way come to know that Krishna is superhuman, that he is a succeed
Satchidananda.
Sa- Sa- Sa-
Satchidananda Vigraha.
Sachinananda
Vigraha.
Vigraha, the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, that he is transcendental, and that he is above the domination of the model of material nature and above the influence of time and space. A devotee of Krishna like Arjuna is undoubtedly above any misunderstanding of transcendental position of Krishna. Arjuna's putting his question before the Lord is simply an attempt by the devotee to defy the atheistic attitude of person who consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being subject to the mode of material nature.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank you.
reading. Okay, great. Okay, so how should I understand that this was instructed by you to the sun god? So Prabhupada in the purport is saying Arjuna is an accepted devotee. So this doubt which Arjuna is asking is not to challenge, is not saying, hey, I don't believe you. No, no, no. Arjuna already knew he is God, right? In the 10th chapter, Arjuna will confirm that how he knew. Uh, he'll tell that I have heard in disciplic succession. From my gurus, I have heard. From other saints, I have heard. Narad, Asit, Deval, Vyas, they have all said about you that you are God. And now you're yourself telling me. So Arjuna will confirm that how Arjuna already knew this. But then why is he asking this question? He's asking so that it is clear to all of us also. He's he's asking for those who do not believe in that Krishna is supreme. So by this point, everybody will be clear that see, Arjuna, Krishna is himself telling that this is the reason how he has taught the sun god. And in the subsequent shlokas, when Krishna answers this question, then it will be clear to everyone that how Krishna is supreme. Prabhupada is saying, of course, Krishna appeared as son of Devaki on this earth, and he did so many activities in this earth, but he is still the same supreme personality of Godhead. His because he came as a small baby doesn't mean that he is not God anymore. No, he is God. Why? Because Krishna can take the position of a baby to accept the love of his devotees. In whatever way a devotee wants to love Krishna, Krishna can sense, and to the extent those desires are pure, Krishna will reciprocate with that. So there were in Vrindavan one time, Krishna took a form of all the cowherd boys and all the calves. And this was when Lord Brahma was testing this little boy. Lord Brahma saw, oh, this boy, he has all these children with him and calves with him, but he is doing some majestic things. Let me tease this boy. And he, for a fraction of time, forgot that this ordinary boy is Krishna himself. And then Lord Brahma stole all the calves and stole all the cowherd boys. And Krishna, he did not say anything to Lord Brahma. What he did? He actually expanded himself in the form of all the calves and all the cowherd boys. Now, each of these cowherd boys went to their house, and their mothers were loving these children even more than what they were loving normally to their own child. Why? Because they wanted Krishna to be their child. Even though they were loving their son, but they were thinking, oh, it will be so nice if Krishna is also my son. So Krishna became their son and came to them. Similarly, the cows actually had the love for the calves even more. They were actually started to produce milk even just by seeing these calves because of the love they had for the calves. And this was because the calves were Krishna. The cowherd boys were Krishna. So, like this way, Krishna was happy to reciprocate with the love and the desire which they had. So, even though Krishna came in all these forms, still he is the Supreme Lord. In many of the religions, we see the greatness of God is told. How God is great, how he is the controller, how he is the supreme, under whose direction one has to conduct. But one uh, do not, but other religions do not actually know this concept of Leela or pastime. Leela means when the Supreme Lord enjoys with those who are the lover of God. Those jivas, those living entities, those souls, those who are devoted to God, they love God. And how those people love God and how God loves them, this is actually done in what is called as a pastime or a leela. Different leelas are there which Lord does with his loved ones. And that concept is not so very well known to other religions. But this is what Vedic culture, this is unique about the Vedic culture, which gives a different dimension to what are God's activities, what gods like to do, what gods love to do, and that is to spend time and enjoy with those who are dedicated to loving God. So Arjuna here is saying um, how he's asking this question, and Arjuna wants everybody to accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord, and he wants to ask this question to clarify so that Krishna himself gives this knowledge, which can be known for long, long time. And it is very important for everyone to know this, that Krishna is the Supreme. Why? Because the knowledge which Krishna is going to speak afterwards will actually be of importance only if Krishna is himself Divya or transcendental, or if everybody knows that Krishna is not an ordinary Tom, Dick, and Harry, not an ordinary living entity. He's special. Now, the Supreme Lord, he is Satchidananda. Sad means eternal, Chid means full of knowledge, Anand means full of bliss, and Vigraha means he is a form. He is form, Satchidananda Vigraha. So, this is the nature of the Supreme Lord. Now, this is the nature of the living entity also. Jiva is also Satchidananda, but we are very small, and Krishna is unlimited. There is no limit. So, this is how Arjuna is approaching Krishna and asking this question. He's putting the question before the Lord, simply an attempt by devotee to defy the atheistic attitude of the persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being. So Krishna, demons may think, Krishna is ordinary, but Arjun here wants this knowledge to come to prove the demons that Krishna is not ordinary, he's special. Okay, anybody else would like to share any points from this? 4.4 we did so far. So we did second, third, and fourth shloka today of the Bhagavad Gita. And first shloka we had done last week. In the next section, which is the fifth section, Krishna will tell why he is saying, how Krishna is the one who has given this knowledge to Sun God. So we'll discuss that next week.